Here we go.
Here we go. Here we go. Bum, 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 bum.
Look, I lost another diamond out of my ring. I think I'm just going to wait until I lose all the diamonds, and then I'm going to get a new one.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome to Talk Comics to Me.
I'm Champ Champenstein.
And I'm Heather. I'm Heather.
Thanand welcome to another edition.
Another edition of There's No New Comics Yet. Though DC is going to be shipping new comics, I think, starting next week. But we have none of those titles. Actually, we have none of the titles at all until I think the midweek of May, and then I have Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen.
The last one?
No. It's only issue 10.
Oh, damn.
There's 2 more issues.
Okay.
But, I mean, out of all of the things I need right now...
Definitely Jimmy Olsen.
It's definitely Jimmy Olsen. I could actually use it, like, a few weeks ahead of May 19th. But
yeah.
That's fine. That's fine.
Send it before.
Anybody who works at DC and is listening, just go ahead and send me a copy. That's chill, right?
Free of charge. We'll review it for you. Oh, God.
And, of course, I'll say it's good, because it will be.
Yes, absolutely.
Anyway, this week, we read stuff.
Well, we read a few things.
Yeah.
Champs is all themed. Mine is not.
Yeah, I don't know why I went with the theme, but it just seemed appropriate since I had several Rich Tommasso books I hadn't read yet.
I think I'm going to try to theme it next week.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to find some things and make a theme.
I think next week I'm going to just, hit Transmetropolitan hard and maybe just do that.
Sounds like a good idea.
But I don't know. I like the balance of having something else, too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I, try to do something different every time. Because I have, several Marvel things that I could read, but I don't want to read all Marvel in 1 week again.
Yeah, I get it.
It's a lot.
All right, well, would you like to start, my friend?
I will start. Okay. So I have the trade, the Forever Maps. This is done by Scout, the line, and they did a really weird thing. They, put the first one out, and then none of the other ones, they just released it in a trade. So I have, the first issue, and then I have the first issue again within this trade, which...
I mean, I think maybe if nothing else, you could just, let somebody else borrow the trade, or the first issue.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Be so, there's a trade out. I have the first issue, you can check that out.
Yeah, I was going to give it to Randy, because it seems like something that he would enjoy.
Yeah.
So, basically, this story is about a young man in the late 1700s. He is given a map. The map leads to other maps. The maps lead to other maps. It's just a continuous thing. But as long as he's searching for these maps, he doesn't age. So he spends hundreds of years going around the world and finding these stupid maps. And occasionally he'll stop. At one point he falls in love with this woman and they have a kid together. So for a few years he doesn't travel anywhere at all. Yeah, and he starts aging and he's well, fuck, I've been alive 150 years, I need to go. Otherwise I'm just gonna melt. So
does he melt?
No, he ends up taking his kid with him because his wife ends up dying during childbirth and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So he's kind of forced to take this kid with him. So this kid does not age. This kid is with him for however long and is just Dad, you lied to me. Why are we searching for these stupid maps? Why won't I age? So he drops his kid off and then comes back for him several years later and he ages 20 years within a matter of a week. And so it fucks him up. And
that's wild.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing that I thought was really cool about it, because I just was not expecting that part to happen at all. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he's 4 when the dad drops him off at a family friend's house or whatever, and then since he's searching for these maps, he loses track of time while he's doing it, and then when he finally goes back to get his kid, it's been it's only been a year or 2, but his kid had aged 20 years within a matter of a week, and his body couldn't keep up with it
because of the separation from
the maps. Yeah, just something weird about the maps. Yeah, so it's just him trying to choose between living a life how it's supposed to be lived or immortality. It's very, very interesting. I did enjoy this way more than I thought I did or would.
Because I didn't.
I thought I did. But I really, normally I don't like this kind of art, especially like the lack of colors and stuff, but I felt like it really worked well with the story, because anytime that there is color, it's just like, you know, reds.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I thought it just went with the story really well. And that's all. You're welcome.
Sorry, I just burped. It was gross.
Oh, it's chill.
Okay, everybody. So, yeah, my theme is Rich Tommaso this week, and once again, it's probably just because I had 2 trades of his that I hadn't read yet. So, why the fuck not? And then I have several other series by Rich Tommaso that I have read and either don't remember or...
Because it's just been long enough.
Yeah, it's just been long enough. Or I'm pretty sure with, like, Dry County, I started reading it, but I was, like, reading so many different other things that I just, like, didn't read that and ended up putting it in a box. Though I kind of wanted to go back and read Spy Seal again. We'll see. That might happen. Who knows? Next week might be a continuation of Rich Tommaso.
You never know.
You never know, especially with me. So anyway, the first book I have is Clover Honey. This is a 1999 story by Rich Tommaso. This is the artist cuts, so it's all redrawn, relettered, and redesigned.
Can I see? I've been rubbing my head.
Yeah.
So it's all like sweaty.
So this story is about a young girl who is a hitman, basically, and she is working with her family to do hits, and one of her cousins who she's been working with kind of goes on the lam because he has stolen money or been skimming money from the top and like kind of gambling with it, and her uncle or their uncle finds out and ends up telling her like to find out where she's like where her cousin is. And so it's all in black and white and all in
it's a crime noir.
Yeah, Rich Tommasso's colors, Rich Tommasso's art. And yeah, I really enjoyed this story. I really enjoyed the idea that she's trying to find her way within this family, even though it's all a crime family and she knows what she's doing isn't quite right. And at one point she goes to one of her other cousins who used to be like a drug addict and just like kind of just like a shitty person. Well, you know, like the way they frame it, it's like, oh, she's just like a dumb bad person, and like
right.
And she like
a degenerate.
Yeah, and like she kind of like freaks out at her cousin for still being that way at one point, and she realizes that her cousin has actually been trying to like turn her life around. And yeah, it's just
once you're in it for so long, it's hard to get out.
Yeah, it was really interesting, and I really did like it. It was a really quick read, and I know there's something like Rich Tommaso has a really interesting way of like writing a story, or like a lot of his main characters are like stronger like female characters.
Love that.
Yeah, so that's all I have to really say about that book, because I don't want to really give away like the twist.
Okay.
But I do suggest it, like if you like kind of like crime novels, and even if like the thing about Rich Tommaso and his art too, I think is it really has like that feel of like 90s books, like 90s comics, like kind of 90s independent books.
Right. It reminds me of like the comic strips.
Yeah. So I just that is something that is a pre-warning, because it might not be art everybody likes, but I like it, so I don't give a fuck.
I like how simple it is.
Yeah.
Like it's just, I don't know. I enjoy it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So I have The Lost City Explorers. My good friend Randy Andrews let me borrow this once, like a year ago. Something like that.
Cool.
This book is about 2 siblings whose father dies. He is an archaeologist. They discover that he is not actually dead. He got sucked into some wormhole searching for Atlantis.
All right.
Yeah.
Weird. That's
so
cool.
Yeah, so the siblings and then 3 of their friends, they decide to find Atlantis, which is somehow buried beneath Manhattan. So, because they want to free their father because it's just them. You know, the girl, Helen, she is in high school, and then the brother, Homer, is in college and stuff. So they kind of have to take care of each other. So they don't want to have to do that. So they go into the sewers, New York City, find this wormhole, and try to get their dad back.
Cool.
It was very interesting because it's based off of what I read on the back about what the story was about. It did not happen the way I expected it to.
Okay.
Like, I thought it was going to be more centered on Atlantis, and they really don't go to Atlantis. Like, you see it, but they don't, like, explore it at all.
Okay.
It's just kind of like in the background, and it's like, all right, we're going home, like that kind of thing. I was expecting like the movie Atlantis.
We're looking for treasure.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's really cool because, you know, after
I guess their dad is treasure, right?
Right. He makes his own decisions. He decides to stay.
Okay.
So you don't even get to see the dad at all, like just some weird happenstance. And then at the end, she's like, well, I don't want to go to college. That's not the kind of thing that I want to do. So she goes to the business that her dad had worked for, and it's like, hey, I'm like a teenage girl, and I got past all your security, managed to get to Atlantis myself using a wormhole, and get back in one piece. Let me work for you. And the dude is like, all right, dude, yeah, let's do this. Let's send you on some missions. Let's go explore archaeological sites.
Sounds like some Ferris Bueller / like Laura Croft business.
Yeah, it was, I did enjoy it. I just wish that it would have been heavier on Atlantis. Because they mentioned it, I got real excited about it because I love Atlantis, and then it just was...
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I'm going to do 2 since you only have one more book and I have a few. Next on my Rich Tommaso run, I have Dry County. This is, I believe it was 5-issue series. This is a story about a man who randomly meets a woman while doing his laundry. And
classic.
He kind of ends up like falling, head over heels. Is that the phrasing?
Yeah, yes, that's the phrase. I've never worn heels, so I don't really understand it, but is it when you fall and you go, whoa, and then your legs go in the air?
Yeah, I can only assume that, whoa. That is exactly what it's speaking about. So
I've never been that stunned seeing someone before.
I don't even, I don't think he's, stunned over seeing her necessarily as much as, he kind of just, they're both doing laundry on a Friday night, and he's like, oh, I found somebody else who's also, doing laundry and doing absolutely nothing on a Friday night instead of going out to a club.
I would say, if I was walking behind Henry Cavill and I saw that butt, I would probably fall head over heels. That's one of the only circumstances I think that I would ever use that phrase, and I would make sure that that's actually what happened. Because how else would you get his attention?
Just oh, I'm sorry, sir, your ass is just, so hot I fell down.
Can you bend over? I'm sorry. We're done. Keep talking about
Okay, so, to go back, fell in love, and they had gone on a couple dates, and she's telling him about, one of her crazy ex-boyfriends, and how he helped her escape one of her other crazy ex-boyfriends.
Red flags everywhere.
And how he had kept her, kind of captive, so to speak. He let her go places, but you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
And they continue to see each other. She ends up getting kidnapped, and so the whole story is just about him trying to find her as she's kidnapped. He does little cartoon strips in the Miami Herald, so he puts out cartoon strips where they have to fill in the blanks to see if she'll write in, so we can figure out where she's at.
All right, at this point, after hearing her history, I would wonder Why does this happen to her? What is going on in her? The stars have not aligned.
No, not. I mean, she just might have bad taste in men.
There's something wrong with her chart somewhere.
So yeah, it's just a nice little story about a man trying to find a woman.
After falling head over heels.
After falling head over heels.
Okay.
And then next, I have The Horror of Collier County. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's how I'm going to say it.
That seems right. I have a friend with that last name, and that's how it's pronounced, so.
Okay, so I did it.
Yeah.
This is about a woman named Fran and her daughter named Lucy, and in the first part of this book, it's about Fran and Lucy going to visit her mother in Florida, and Fran is kind of being weirdly stalked by the neighbors or the people around, and she ends up meeting this man, Mel, who like is her friend and is like, oh yeah, like I've been followed by these people. Anyway,
Collier. Brocha, come on.
So basically what happens is all of the neighbors kind of break into this house and like attack her, and she wakes up and she's like, what the hell? Why is this happening? They decide to move out of Florida. Lots of weird things happen within this first like story. And then in the second story, you find out that she is like a vampire and her ex-husband is Dracula. And so it's the story of her and Dracula together and how they get together and how they break up. And then the third story is about how she brings Lucy to meet Dracula.
I'm kind of jealous. What a life this woman lives.
To meet Dracula, and everything's kind of going haywire, and Dracula tries to win over her heart. It's a lot. It's a wild ride. I was not expecting.
Is that Dracula?
No, that's Mel.
Okay. Is Dracula in here?
Yeah, he's towards the end.
Does he look like a Dracula?
That's Dracula. That's Dracula.
Okay, it's sufficient, I guess.
So yeah, it's weird. I really enjoyed it. It kind of just reminded me of like old school horror films.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it seems kind of silly.
Yeah, it was silly, but like perfect, and like I really enjoyed it.
Okay. Me? Okay, so I have disgusting fingerprints all over this. This is just a book called The Dark, and it's just a few like really short horror stories that are kind of introduced by, I don't even know if they say his name, a monkey. It reminds me of the Crypt Keeper, honestly.
Yeah.
Because like he's like sitting around doing random shit, and he'll introduce a story, and then the story's like 4 or 5 pages long, and then he'll go to the next one. So I think there's like 4 chapters in here.
Okay.
Yeah, 4.
Anything good?
I mean, they were all very interesting because they were just like short, sweet, to the point. Like it was just basis of the story, the gore, and then it's over.
All right.
So the first story, Boo Hag, is about these 2 men who go out to the woods to find a skinwalker.
Okay.
One of the guys is telling the other one about like the history of the story and stuff, and like why it's supposed to be real in that area, and then he sees something in the middle of the night and his friend ends up dying. The second one is about wind.
Okay.
Wind as like a monster.
Okay.
Because I guess in Ireland there's this folk tale of like when wind is very strong, it's actually a woman. It's like a banshee, and it's like haunting you, essentially.
All right.
So within the story, it's this guy who's taking his daughter to find a medicine woman in the middle of the woods to try to heal her because she's really sick. And when he goes into the house, like the woman there is like, yeah, just, fuck me a little bit and then I'll like help your daughter. And then she ends up being the wind and she like kills him. Like,
That just sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah, but, he's just like, okay, beautiful woman, get on me.
For sure, I'll fuck you.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, like, they're very interesting because each of the stories, like, they could do a movie, like an anthology, and I feel like it would be very fun. But it says collection 1. I'm not sure if there's ever going to be, like, another one or not. But I don't know. I really enjoyed it, especially, like, the cover gallery in the back. They have, like, the covers for each of the stories, and they're just really cool.
Those are really cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I enjoyed it, and if there is a second one, I will definitely get it.
All right. Well, then now I have SheWolf. This is my last Rich Tommaso book of this week.
Is that what the werewolves look like?
This is what one of the werewolves look like.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's. I think you would actually probably like this book a little bit.
Probably.
I think you would like that the horror one too. Anywho's, I decided to read this book because I had just about finished the horror of Collier County book, and I was like, you know what? I know that SheWolf is kind of like in that same vein. I'd like to keep it that way. So this book is about a young girl. God, I'm blanking on her name. I did such a great job on the first book.
Did you see how good I did?
Yeah, you did
remember
great.
Names.
I don't know how. Oh, Gabby. That's her name.
Yeah, I already opened it.
I was just like, let me just whip this out. I remembered her name as I touched the book. The book is also magic. So this story is about Gabby. She has a boyfriend. Like, it starts out in the first issue. She has a boyfriend who is a werewolf, and you think that he has turned her into a werewolf. Within the first story arc, you find out that somehow being a werewolf runs in her family.
And a werewolf.
Oh, and a werewolf.
Yeah.
A werewolf runs in her family, and she meets a vampire, befriends the vampire, and they try to summon a demon. The second story arc is about her sister, Lizzie, who has been basically ostracized from the town and her friends and the school because of being sisters to Gabby, because Gabby Gabby was accused of murdering her boyfriend.
For being a werewolf?
For being a werewolf. But
Okay.
the cops shot him, so whatever.
Right.
Whatever.
Kids believe what they want to believe.
Anyway, she decides that she is going to become a werewolf, goes on a killing spree, and Gabby is trying to save her.
Okay. And what would you rank that for Rich Tommaso books? Was it one of your more favorites or least favorites?
I probably liked it, I liked it more than, Dry County.
Okay. Is it just because of the horror aspect of it?
I think so. I think just, kind of having that... I don't know, they both do have, SheWolf does have more of a weird kind of, magic vibe going on as well. And also, where, the horror of Collier County feels like you're kind of watching, a B-movie. SheWolf feels like you're watching, some sort of, 80s, 90s, horror film.
Yeah.
Where, some sort of, Werewolf in London shit or something. But silly-ish.
That movie's pretty silly.
Yeah. God, that movie's great, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, not to take away from how good it is, but it is silly.
That movie is great. Anyway, lastly, I read half of Trance Metropolitan, Year of the Bastard. This is Trade 3. This is all about the election. And I just really wanted to briefly talk about this because I would like to finish it and probably write notes about what I really want to say about it. Yes. What I will briefly say is that it is still insanely relevant.
It's a shame.
Reading it and just thinking about, the election cycle that's just happened, it was rough. It was rough.
I might have to read that after, you're done with it. Because I've been wanting to read it for a while, but it also seems like a book that it wouldn't hold my interest for too long.
Yeah, I honestly also don't. I think it's one of those books that would have a hard time, like, holding your interest. And I, like...
Because I'm not, like... I think it's fascinating, but I'm just not really into reading political stuff.
Well, I wouldn't say it's, like... Yes, it's political. But I would say, like, the way it brings politics into the story is at least subtle enough where... Maybe not at the same time. But you know what I'm saying.
Well, and that's why, like, I would read the first one just to see, like, if I could get into it. Because I do really like Warren Ellis.
And I think that I just feel like the nuance of it, like, the way it builds up the world, especially within the first story arc, and then going into this... I don't know, I feel like maybe right now for you too, it would be one of those things that would be, like, good to read just because of, like, the state of everything happening, and just, like I said, reading this was just like, oh my god, why?
This is happening!
And I was talking to Dave today, you know, and he read this when it was coming out, and he was just talking about how when he was reading it the first time, it was like, he felt this way about Bush and Gore, I think is what he said. And then he was like, and then the second time I felt this way about, like, you know, Mitt Romney, and, like, and then the third time, like, it's now. Like, I want to reread this now. And it's like, because,
so it's almost timeless in that sense.
Yeah. I mean, like, Spider has coined the president the beast, you know? It is insanely relevant. And I think it kind of just hurts. It hurts to know that, like, politics haven't changed, and it hurts to know that, like...
And they don't grow either.
Yeah, it hasn't changed to the point that it's almost digressed. Mm-hmm. Like, we've gone completely fucking ass backwards.
Right.
Like, we will be here. So...
I hate it.
It's great. I don't want to just not live on this planet anymore.
Right.
It's fine. So, I think Transmetropolitan's a great read.
I'll give it a try.
I can't wait to, like, I don't know. I don't want to finish this. I don't want to. It's like Warren Ellis is some kind of fucking wizard who's just like, yeah, I see through all of you.
He sold his sanity to be able to write comics, right? Isn't that the theory that I just came up with right now?
Dear Warren Ellis.
Man, you crazy. How do you do that?
How you do this? How did you predict the future? How do you know human beings so well that you just are like... pitiful humans.
I wonder if he keeps a dream journal.
That's a good question.
All right, next on our list of interviewees, Warren Ellis.
I mean, he's some sort of druid thirst trap right now, so...
I'll slide right in.
Okay, so with that... It's the end. We did it.
Yes.
So thanks for listening. Thanks for joining us. We have some big news. We'll bring it to you at some point.
Next couple days, we'll make up a whole post about it.
So, yeah, stay safe. Read comics if you can. Support your local comic book shops if you can. We love you.
We love you. Again, I'm Champ Champenstein.
And I'm Heather.
Peace. Sorry, I tried to be you, but I don't know if you would say that.
I've never said that. Peace.
Okay. Peace. It seemed, I don't know.
When have you once ever heard me say peace?
Never, but in the moment it seemed like something you would have said.